Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Voices of Forestry podcast. I'm your host, Seth Stephenson, the communications coordinator with the Arkansas Forestry Association. Today, we are going to be speaking on the Firewise program, which, since the LA fires, we're recording this episode actually at the tail end of January, and the Los Angeles wildfires that happened earlier this month are kind of front of everyone's mind still, so we thought we'd sit down and kind of talk about what is going on specifically here in Arkansas when it comes to like wildfire prevention with the Firewise program. But before we get into the details there, I want to thank our sponsors this month, DDK Forestry and Real Estate. We appreciate their continued support of the show, and we're going to hear a little bit more from them later on in this episode. But for now, let me introduce our guest this month, Travis Haile. He is the Firewise coordinator here in Arkansas. He works with the Arkansas Department of Agriculture Forestry Division. Travis, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, Travis, since you are new, let's kind of start here, and can you just give us a little bit of your history, how you got to the position where you're at today?
Sure. So I started with the forestry back in 2009. I was hired on as a training instructor for the forestry, and I spent about 6 years traveling across the state where I would teach the 8-hour wildland basic fire course to rural fire departments. So I did that, and this position came open, the Firewise coordinator, so it was a good transition. I'd already had a relationship with all the fire departments across the state and knew where most of them were. So I moved into this position, and I've been doing it now about 7 years, I would say. Okay.
Now, this Firewise position, has it been around longer than you've been the coordinator for it? Or
it has.
Okay.
It's right. We started in Arkansas in the early 2000s.
Okay.
We started having this program here.
Okay. Well, let's kind of dive into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of what we're talking about, which is the Firewise program. This is not a state-specific program. This is across multiple states across the nation. But can you explain what exactly Firewise is?
Sure. So Firewise USA, it's a national program. 37 states participate in this program. It's administered through the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. Here in the state of Arkansas, we run it through the Arkansas Department of Agriculture, Forestry Division. And it is basically a wildfire prevention program, and it's basically for homes in the wildland-urban interface is our primary focus on this program. So what we do is we try and prevent homes from burning in the event of a wildfire. So the way we do that is basically there's two things that we look at. We look to mitigate the fuel around homes and then educate homeowners about the presence of wildfires in the state of Arkansas. So, as you mentioned, urban interface is a huge thing in the state of Arkansas. Most of our state is urban interface. So the definition of urban interface is anywhere the homes intermingle with the woods and the grass. So our program is pretty important as far as there's a lot of people out there that we need to get to. So what we try and do, the way we kind of start the program is we get in contact with our local rural fire departments. We go out and meet with them and talk with them about the program, tell them what it is, all the things they have to do to be in it. And we use them as a partner, a liaison into the community because, the local fire departments, that's their home. That's where they live, they work, family, friends. So they know the area. So, we get with them and we tell them what the program is, and then they basically go out into their community and start mitigating fuel. And when we talk about fuel, when I say fuel, it's basically leaves around homes, grass, limbs, anything that can burn from a wildfire close to a home. What we try and do is remove that fuel away from the home, mitigate that fuel. We try and get the homeowners involved. None of this is regulatory. Well, this is just suggestive stuff for them. But we try and get them involved, and then we educate them about wildfire and things they can do to make their homes safe from wildfire. Because in the end goal is we want to mitigate fuel, educate homeowners and communities, where when we do have a wildfire, and we do have several wildfires in the state of Arkansas, we want their home to survive that wildfire. So there's different things that we look at and go through with them. We have what is called defensible space. So the area from the home, 30 feet is a main thing we look at is if we can reduce that fuel, remove that fuel out away from that home, if there's nothing there for that fire to burn, hopefully the fire is going to go around that house and keep going. So, we talk a lot about things like that. Examples of that is just mowing the grass, getting leaves out of the gutters. It's just simple things homeowners can do that sometimes are neglected that, we like to say, hey, this may save your home, just something small like that. So that is a big part of that. Our fire departments, rural fire departments across the state, are a huge partner and a big help to us in the Forestry Division to promote this program. Right now, we have 67 communities that are nationally recognized as Firewise USA sites. And we've had some of those for 15, 20 years that keep coming back every year and completing everything. So great program. There's some grant money through the partnership with the U.S. Forest Service. We're able to acquire some grant funds to help promote this program and get those fire departments to do some of these projects. So a lot of work goes into it as far as partnerships. There's the community, fire departments. A lot of people work on it to get it going through. So great program across the state.
So what are some of the challenges? I mean, from working with some of these more rural fire departments, I know a lot of those, smaller departments are volunteer departments.
They are.
But what are some of the challenges that you guys face when it comes to trying to get this information out to not only the people who have homes in these rural communities, but the fire departments who help you guys kind of make sure things are going the way that they should?
Well, so, in rural fire departments and volunteer fire departments, they are all volunteer. So, their time's like all the rest of us, they're volunteering their time. So, they don't have a whole lot of time to get some of this information out there. The things they have to do in their fire departments to keep the things rolling and be able to respond to fires, which they naturally got to do first and foremost. But it's hard for them to find time sometimes. The other challenge we face with them and communities, we see, turnover in fire departments. So, we get the program going with what we call a spark plug, somebody in the fire department that's really on fire for this and wants to do it. Well, we go back 2 or 3 years later and they've moved on or they've retired. So we see that, and, that's a big challenge with our departments. And then, sometimes somebody from the community can pick it up and they can help out. But usually that's why we're going back to is try and find somebody when somebody retires or leaves to keep this thing going, keep it rolling.
So do you guys rely pretty heavily on those fire departments to get the information out to the actual community members?
We do. We do civic events and we do fairs, conferences. We do a lot of advertising and marketing ourselves to get this program out there. But as far as the local communities, we find the fire departments are our best way into their community. For example, they have to have at least one education event every year to be in this program. Well, fire departments do that anyway. They usually have a yearly fish fry, or they'll have a trunk or treat or an open house, and they invite the community in. And when they do that, they're able to pass literature out about Firewise program or talk to homeowners about things they should do. So yeah, it's easier for them. And we go to those events when we can and we have time, and they're great events. We love going to them because people are happy to see us. They normally, they'll have barbecue and stuff like that. And normally if we're there, we'll speak 15, 20 minutes about what the program is when we're able to make it. So yeah, they are the best way to get that message out there to them, because as I say, usually they know everybody in the fire department, the local community, whereas they don't really know me, and so it's good to have them to do that.
So have y'all received any, I guess, kind of feedback, I guess is the right word that I'm looking for here, but have y'all received any kind of feedback from community members or from these fire departments about the program? I'm not sure if they've come back and said, hey, we followed the rules of the Firewise program and our house was spared from some random wildfire that happened, or have y'all had anything similar to that?
We do. We normally get feedback every year, at least from a few of them out there that say, hey, this program's working. And, if we could get more people involved, there's a lot of homes that could be saved and a lot of this could have been prevented. And it's funny, I talked to one, a fire department a couple months ago, and that's what he was telling me. He's like, I don't know why more people don't do this. He said, because it works and you get grant money to do these projects. It makes the community safer. So yeah, those that are on board and have been doing it for a while, they see the results of it and they realize this community's safer. It's just hard sometimes to find somebody like that in every situation that will promote it and continue on the efforts.
So just so I'm clear here, something that popped into my head from your answer there. So the grant money that you're talking about, does that go to the fire department?
It does go to the fire department.
Okay.
So the way the grant money works is it's through the Forest Service. When the fire department completes their mitigation project, which is a fuel reduction project, like clean up around a home, and they complete education, which is, like a fish fry. When they complete all of that and we can get them renewed into the Firewise USA program, we're able to give them that grant money, that funding. So basically, their time, their effort, the money they spent on those projects, we're able to give them that grant money to complete those projects. They then take that grant money and they can use it to purchase anything in the fire department that the fire department needs with that money.
Which I think is important because, again, I've worked with some of these more rural fire departments in my previous career, and, every little thing helps.
It does.
Taking some time to educate folks on a good program to help save a home or multiple homes during a wildfire situation, that grant money could probably go a long way for some of those smaller departments.
It really does. It's a huge help. So many fire departments across their rural fire departments, they do struggle, and they need all the funding and the help they can get. And that's what we want to do. We want to try and make sure that we can get all that help out there we can.
Okay. Well, Travis, I guess one thing, too, that I want to point out before we move on from here, you guys have a pretty solid diagram, picture, whatever you want to call it, on your Firewise page on the Department of Agriculture website, kind of showcasing the distances. Can you just kind of explain that picture a little bit more? I mean, we'll link that photo in the description of this episode. We'll link your page is where it's at so people can kind of see it. But can you kind of explain what that diagram is depicting?
Sure. So yes, that diagram, it basically shows a home, and then it shows all the different barriers out there and different links away from the home that you basically need to focus on removing fuel from. So the home itself is the primary thing that we want to look at. So when we look at that diagram, the home itself, any fuel on the home. So if there's, if you live in hardwood timber, getting all the leaves off the roof, out of the gutters, if you live in pine timber, the straw and all that. So removing any flammable fuel away from the home, 0 to 5 feet is the most crucial zone outside of the home itself. So basically anything around the home, 0 to 5 feet from the structure out, raking leaves out away from the home, pulling pine straw out away from the home. A lot of people like to stack this time of year their hardwood, their firewood up on the front porch, so that's really not a good thing to do. Anything you can do to remove that fuel away from that home is what we're trying to create, because so many of these wildfires, the embers are floating through the air due to convection, and they're floating through there. If they sit down close to the house, and they may smolder for just a few minutes in some dry leaves and catch those leaves on fire. And if the leaves are right there next to the house, it can catch the house on fire. So that's the crucial zone. 5 feet out to 30 is the next zone that we look at. And it's just continuing on that mitigation of fuel. Most of the time, that's just basically raking the leaves, mowing the yard. A lot of times we have homes that will burn because they simply didn't mow their grass, If it's August, September, and the grass is starting to die and they've let it get tall, that stuff can carry fire pretty fast and pretty quick. So it's just simple things like that. Outside the 30-foot area is what's called the common zone. That common zone, is maybe a pasture nearby or further on out. And that's where we don't look as crucial as removing the fuel because it's far enough away from the home. The only problem with that is if there are leaves and embers out there, they can float for a long way. And if it floats over there and sits on the roof and there's leaves on the roof, that could still cause a fire. So the further out we go, naturally, the better it can be.
Okay. And I guess, again, that might be something else to kind of stress, is that this program focuses primarily on protecting homes.
Definitely.
Correct? Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, that's primarily what we look at, is just protecting those homes from those wildfires.
Okay. All right. Well, Travis, to tell you what, this feels like a pretty good stop for our ad here going into the next session. So we're going to take a minute and thank our sponsors, DDK Forestry and Real Estate. DDK proudly supports the AFA. In 1962, Mr. Jerry Davis started DDK with a core value of wanting to help forest landowners. With the professional services DDK provides, they allow landowners to have complete confidence in their portfolio, knowing that their property is managed at the highest level from an expert team with years of experience. Give DDK Forestry and Real Estate a call today and let them help you begin your land legacy. 501-219-8600 or visit them at forestryrealestate.com. Again to DDK Forestry and Real Estate for their continued support of the show. So Travis, we're entering the back half of the episode here, and something that I did kind of want to talk to you about is what are some of the more important pieces of information that you guys try to stress? Is it that 30 feet kind of distance from the homes, or is there more that you guys kind of want to make sure communities know about when it comes to Firewise?
Yeah, so that's primarily what we focus on, is that 30 feet area, and us in the fire field, and we know it, and we understand that, but so many homeowners really don't realize the simple things and how easy it can be, and it's not that we see it every day, so they may not realize it. So yeah, that 30-foot area is the crucial area. The diagram that shows all those areas out through there, it's got a checklist on it of just simple things they can do. They can hang that up in their garage and they can check those things off. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that really is if we can keep it out away from it that far, hopefully we can save that home. That's what we look to do.
Okay. And now we did mention at the top of the episode the LA wildfires that have happened here in early January of 2025. And while we're not going to talk about those fires specifically, I know you mentioned you have had some phone calls from people here in Arkansas with their concerns. Can you just kind of, I guess, to some degree, explain the differences between something like a wildfire on the West Coast and a wildfire here, and how they're vastly different creatures?
Yeah, so their environment is a lot different than what we have here. So a lot of differences are, the fuel types. And once again, when I say fuel, it's just the trees, mm-hmm. the grass, the things that they have to burn out there. So a lot of their vegetation and fuel, the moisture content is a lot different than what we have here in the state of Arkansas. So a lot of our fuel is larger trees and timber that's got more fuel moisture in it. We green up pretty fast, this spring, all the rain we get, things will start greening up. So all those fuels are different. The winds that they see out there, their humidity, mm-hmm. In wildfire, we talk a lot about humidity levels. That's very key in how we can tackle the wildfire and get it put out. And, here, normally we have pretty good humidity. In the summertime, it's not good, but out there, humidity levels are usually lower. Mm-hmm. They were around 19%, different times on that fire out there. And when it gets pretty low like that, when the air's dry and you have 100-mile-an-hour winds, it's going to feed the fire. Mm-hmm. The fire's got to have oxygen, and it's pushing it pretty hard. So, thankfully, we don't see a lot of that around here. The environment's a little bit different, fuel's different, weather patterns are different. So all that makes it a little bit easier for us once we have a fire to be able to get that put out. Our average fire size in the state is around 16, 17 acres. So mm-hmm. most of the time our crews, if we have one and they respond, they can get it put out before it gets too big.
And then the Firewise program comes in and just, if your home is near that wildfire, which again doesn't happen too terribly often here in the state, it just gives it a little added protection in case that fire gets a little too close.
It does give it some added protection. And the other thing it does, depending on the time of day, how many rural fire departments volunteers can respond. They all work and have jobs most of the time. So if it's during the day and there's a wildfire, you may only have 2 or 3 people from the fire department responding to that fire. And if you have created that defensible space around your home and kind of maintain your home, yours could be saved, with very little work or no work done. Whereas if there's some homes that's in danger, or they catch on fire, that's where they've got to go. So yeah, it's just some added security there when you do create that. If you have that wildfire in your area, that hopefully the chances of saving your home go up drastically. I mean, that's what we want to see. We like to see. We don't want any homes lost naturally. We don't want to see that happen.
So your role, Travis, I guess you play more of a proactive role when it comes to wildfires here in this state. So you don't have any kind of role when fighting the fires. You are more on the front end, making sure people are doing what they can to protect their homes.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're more of on the prevention side of things, I guess you would want to say. I work with one other person, and that's all we do. We go around before the fires happen.
Mm-hmm.
We try and get people prepared for the wildfires that we have. That way, when we do have them, hopefully we can make things a little better. So yeah, it's all on the front end.
Okay. And you are interested, we've been talking a lot about wildfires here in the state, but if you are interested in a longer discussion on wildfires here in Arkansas, we do have an earlier episode of the show. I think it's somewhere in the teens area, but you can go back and listen to that episode to learn a little bit more about wildfires here in Arkansas. Well, Travis, we are kind of getting towards the end of the episode. So if there is someone listening from a fire department or a community that is interested in the Firewise program, what's the best thing that they can do to start getting information or trying to get that out to where they live?
Yeah, so the best thing they can do, they can go on our website or webpage, Arkansas Department of Agriculture's webpage under the Forestry Division side there. There's a tab that says Arkansas Firewise. They can click on that tab. My phone number, email, and all that contact information is on there. In their local counties, they can contact local forestry rangers. They can get in touch with us. But a lot of different ways out there. But yes, just give us a call, email us. We'd be glad to come talk to them to get the program started in their community and get them going. More than happy to do it. And
what does that process look like, getting a program started in a community?
Yeah, so, the way it works, the steps in that, the first thing is an initial presentation. I'll go out and I'll, during a normal meeting night, they usually meet about once a month on a Monday, Tuesday night. I'll go out and I'll talk to them, get a little slideshow about what the program is, what we look to accomplish. Once we do that, we complete what is considered a risk assessment of their area. We complete that. We get them the paperwork. We get them signed up online. We have a portal the NFPA offers that makes everything electronic, a little bit easier if they want to go that route. We'll set them up on that, and then they just start filling the paperwork out, completing the projects, and they stay in contact with us and let us know how they're coming along and what they need. And they'll have a lot of questions, and we answer that. And we'll normally go visit them a few times or however many times we need to, but once we do that, they kind of get a handle on it and get it rolling and get it going.
Okay. All right. Well, Travis, is there anything else, man, that we haven't really discussed that you want to mention or anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to come in here today and talk about the program. I feel it's a very important program and vital to the state. So I'm glad that we can offer it out there to communities and be glad to help any way we can. Just contact us, let us know, and we'd love to get everybody involved and go out there and prevent some of these homes from burning from wildfire.
Okay. Well, and like I said, too, we'll make sure that we link the Firewise page here in Arkansas in the description of this episode, so you can, again, see that diagram, get Travis's contact information if you're curious or interested in Firewise stuff. And so that'll be easily and readily accessible for those who are interested. And as well, we should also mention once more that this is not an Arkansas-specific program. This is in, you said 37 states. So if you're not in Arkansas, look up your state, see if there's a Firewise program if you are interested in this. Where you live as well, there I'm sure plenty of people out there ready and willing to help get that going where you live. Well, Travis, thank you again for stopping by. We really appreciate your expertise and for making the very rainy trek into the office today. So
It was. No, I'm glad to do it. Appreciate you having me.
All right. We want to thank you guys for joining us as well. We want to give a special shout out and thank you to some guy named Rob McCormick for the use of our theme song, The Same Love. That's off of his album, The Folkster. As always, we've got a link to his website where you can find tour information or show information that he's got there and news on any new music that he has. And you can also find him on Spotify as well. Thank you to DDK Forestry and Real Estate for their support of this month's episode. And make sure you come back next month when we'll have a new topic, a new discussion, and a new Voice of Forestry.